Yeah. So we'll start with the recap what are things we discussed in the last session. So we discussed about some of the important aspect called the basic contents of your resource management. So we discussed about nature and goals of credit policy, optimum credit policy, variables, credit evaluation, individual accounts, monitoring resources, and summary of key concepts. These are the things which we are going to discuss in the entire resource management. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So when we discuss about we already discussed with this particularly this resource management acts as a marketing tool. Okay, so acts as a bridge for the movement of goods to the production and distribution stage to customers. Okay, trade credit creates the account receivables or trade debtors that the firm is expected to collect in the near future. So that is whenever we sell the goods from trade to a customer, okay, that we call it a debtor. Simple we call it as a debtor or we call it as a receivables. Okay, customers from whom receivables or book debts have to be collected in the future are called trade debtors or simply debtor. The amount which we are supposed to collect in the future because of the sale of the goods on a credit, we call them as a debtors or simple as debtors or we call them as a trade debtors. Okay. So we discussed this particular concept called what exactly these things are. So characteristics of credit sales, basically I discussed last class. So basic characteristics of credit sales are, so is actually a marketing tool. So open account, it is basically open account, that is every time I not open and separate fresh application not go once. So the trust established between the vendor and the customer, this relationship will go on. So this we call it, for that reason we call it as an open account basis. Element of risk and cost, it involves both risk as well as cost. So whenever we sell the goods on credit to customer, see it involves the risk. What is the risk? Customer may become default at any point of time. Okay, and risk is risk of not getting the amount in time. Okay, so both here we have the risk and cost involved in that. Risk is basically you become a defaulter. The cost is, so whatever the amount we are going to sell, we are going to sell the goods on credit, for that we have to recover. To recover, we have to have separate department to recover that thing. So because for that reason we have to spend some amount. That's what we call cost. Okay, and it is future. So that is, so there is no way connected to today's concept. So it is always about the futurity. Today we are going to sell the goods which we are going to collect in the future. Okay, so that is we cannot expect that a person whom we have sold the goods, he will have same level of character. The person himself will change. Okay, so the person we assume that he is going to be a very honest person based on their extended credit customer, but he will become a dishonest person. Okay, so that's the reason we call it futurity. The cost is, as I discussed in the last session, the collection cost we have capital cost, delinquency cost, and default cost. Collection cost already you know, so I will explain again. So capital cost is additional fund which has dropped. So the interest on the additional fund we call that as a capital cost. Delinquency cost is basically extended period. So after period, after the stipulated time, if the still customer extend, so what are the additional efforts we require in collecting the additional overdues? That particular cost we call the delinquency cost, and default cost as you know. So if the customer is unable to make the payment, that particular cost we call as a default cost. Collection cost. Collection cost is that whenever we sell the goods to a customer on credit, we should have separate department, we should have separate people to record, to monitor, and all those things. So whatever the amount we are going to spend on, so like for example, so what we do, we extend a credit. So what we should do, we should acquire his information. Okay, so then we should make a reminder post to him. We should send a letter to him. Suppose if he doesn't pay in time, we have to send a legal notice to him. So all these things are, so we have legal battles, all these things, what we do, all these things we call it as a collection cost. Okay, so the separate department to look into the collection of a credit sales. That particular cost we call it as a collection cost. Okay, so benefits are I will not repeat it. Creating maintenance of credit department, expense incurred, acquiring credit information, all these things comes under the collection cost, capital cost, delinquency cost, and default cost. Okay, so benefits. In the same way we have benefits also. Benefits are increase in sales and anticipated profit because of the more liberal policy. So it is oriented towards sales expansion, that we are going to have the existing customers as well as we are going to attract a new customers. Okay, that is, so whenever we extend this credit to a customer, always it expands the sales. Okay. So then to protect his current sales against the potential competition. So these are the benefits what we have when you go with the what we call basically when you go with the extended credit to a customer. Okay. To scratch your yesterday's time is different, today's time is different. Every time I'll be upgrading the things. Okay. So whenever I get feedback, just tell me working on certain things. Okay. So don't scratch yourself. Tomorrow I'll be coming to almost like you can repair device. Okay. Because some of I see some of your faces, it's saying that okay something is different with the content is same, but only thing is so that have mixed here and certain things. Okay. To make the things more simple, I've brought this thing. Okay. So goals of trade policy. The trade policy always this chart was with the graph which I have shown yesterday. It is much more better way which I am coming over today. So the goals of trade policy basically the firm trade policy aims at maximizing the shareholders' wealth. See in finance wherever you discuss the ultimate objective of the finance is maximize the wealth of the shareholders. Whatever decision we take in finance, the ultimate objective has to be to maximize the wealth of the shareholder. Okay. So so the firm trade policy aims at maximizing the shareholders' wealth through increase in sales leading to an increase in profitability. Okay. So this we are going to use as a marketing tool. So maximize sales also incremental profit which I discussed in the last session already. So production and selling costs and administration costs, all this we consider. So we have to understand how exactly it works. I said in the last class, tight trade policy and loose trade policy, then liberal trade policy. So here, so in case of tight, when you go with the tight trade policy, there also you can see this is the total cost if you consider the total cost maximum. If you go with the loose trade policy, there also total cost maximum. Where these two intersect with each other, we call this the optimum trade policy. So we have to consider that particular point is the point where firm should think of extending credit to a customer. That particular point we call it the optimum trade policy. Okay. So this is basically in optimum trade policy. This is how we are going to evaluate the problem. In that way, I written here. So estimation of incremental profit, what is the additional profit I am going to get if you go with the credit, if I extend the credit, what is the additional profit I am going to get? Okay, estimation of incremental investment in receivables. So what is the additional profit I am going to get? To get an additional profit, what is the additional investment I can have? Okay, so then estimation of incremental rate of return IRR, identify the what is the IRR, incremental or incremental rate of return. So then comparison of incremental rate of return with the required rate of return. Whatever the IRR I am going to get, it is more than the required return or not. See what we are doing? We are getting incremental profit, that additional profit we are getting. So for that additional profit, simply we are not getting, for that we need to make additional investment. And finally we are going to find the internal rate of return. So if the internal rate of return is more than the required rate of return, then project can be, the proposal can be accepted. If required rate of return is higher than the IRR, that is by going with the additional sales, what the amount I want to generate, it is less than the required capital. So then there is no work in expanding sales to those kind of customers. Okay. So trade policy, basically what we discussed, trade policy firm provides framework to determine whether or not to extend the credit. Whether we should extend. So basically what we are discussing here is, so ultimately entire this chapter what it was, if you want, do we have to extend the credit to a customer or not? That's what we are discussing here. Okay. All of you getting what I am saying? So the ultimate objective of this chapter is, chapter name discuss upon that. So we are discussing about, so when a customer comes to shop, whether to extend a credit or not. If you extend, to what extent we have to extend the credit to customer. More this one, more this one, above this one. To what extent we have to extend the customer. This entire column will speaks only about those things. ಯಾರು ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಅಂತ ಉದ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದೆ, ಉದ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಬೇಡ, ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು. This is the entire thing what we are discussing in the entire module. Okay. So whether not extend credit to a customer, then how much credit to extend. These are only two things we are discussing in the entire module. So whether first and foremost thing is, see, if any customer comes to my shop, should I extend credit or not? ಯಾರು ನಿಮಗೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಲ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಬೇಡ. First question. If I extend means how much credit to extend. So credit should be extended for a period of 30 days, 40 days, 45 days, 15 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. How many days I have to extend credit? These are the two things which we are going to discuss in the entire module. Okay. So credit policy variables basically we discussed in last session. Credit standards and analysis, credit terms and collection efforts. Credit standards also we discussed in last session. If you go with the credit policy, so we say only cash based. Okay, so we are not going to extend any sort of credit to customers. That is almost on cash basis. That's what it calls credit policy. If you go with credit policy, that means mostly on cash basis, reliable and finance strong customers who have extended credit, results in no bad losses and less cost of administration. If you go with the credit policy, illapana cash and if you go with this particular language, what happens? So mostly on cash basis and reliably and finance strong customers we are going to extend the credit. Very sure that it cannot be a defaulter. Only those kind of people are going to extend the credit. The resulting what happens? No bad loss and less cost of administration. So there is no bad because of this reason. Bad debt cost will be very less and administration of cost because we are not giving credit to most people. We give only for handful of people whom we can trust, who are very financially strong. Only for those people we are extending. So administration cost will be very less. But not possible to expand the sales because only finance people will come and buy my business. So most people who expect the credit to be given to them, so will not go to our business also will not be able to expand the business. Okay. So then profit sacrifice will be more than the cost saved. So we have to compare here. Am I saving more cost or am I losing more sales? So I have to compare between these two things now. I have to trade off between whether do I need more sales or do I save more cost, which is more important for me. So then I have to balance between these two things. Okay. If you go with the loose credit policy means liberal credit policy. That is, most people who comes and asks for the credit, we are extending credit to those people. What happened? The sales will expand, larger sales will have. Then the firm will have longer receivables. Receivables will be higher, receivables will be longer. Okay, and administrative cost and bad debt cost will increase. Because of this is what happens. Administrative cost and bad debt cost will increase. Okay. So now for both this side we have advantage and we have disadvantage. So for that reason what we should do? We should go with the optimum credit standard. So optimum credit standard is a trade-off between the incremental return and cost. So we should trade off between incremental return and incremental cost. Now the next thing is we should go with the credit analysis. Okay. As discussed in last class, time taken to repay and the default rate. These two the aspects which determine. So what is the how to analyze the basically credit worthiness of a customer. Okay. So basically 5 C's as said in the last session. So we missed out, like most of books will say only 3 C's. Some books says 5 C's. In exam they may ask you 5 C's or 3 C's. Okay. So we call hard 3 C and soft 2 C. Okay. Hard is which we have discussed last session. Character, capacity, condition. These are the hard 3 C's. And soft 2 C's are basically capital collateral. If they ask you the 5 C's of basically the 5 C's of a reserve fund means you have read all the 5. Or if they ask you what are the 3 C's means you have read hard 3 C's. Is it clear? So based on these things, based on character, capacity, condition, capital, collateral, we will be dividing the customers into bad customers, good customers, and marginal customers. Marginal customers are those customers that taking call on the marginal customers is very difficult. So will be having students who are very dull and will be very bright. We will never focus on these two people. So why we never focus on these two people? Dull student always what happens? We never have focus on academics. Let's assume that there is no dull student in the class. Okay. Very bright student, what happens? We always focus whether we say or don't say, they do. So let's say for example, if I give an assignment, dull student we know that he'll never come up with that. Okay. And bright student, even if I don't show, they will do that. And marginal students are those people. So push mode. So if you have seen, so how you pump the bicycles and all. How much you push, that much of weight go inside. If you don't push, simply stand straight up, nothing will happen. The same thing. If you don't say anything, nothing will not do. For example, I have given dividend policy assignment, correct? How many you submitted? No one. So what to do now? Should I consider them as a marginal students or bad students or good students? You decide. I don't know the thing. Now it's left to you. I have been explained. I explained the concept. Now you have to decide what category of people you are. Okay. So I'm just pushing inventory and resource management by today or tomorrow. You have to complete all the assignments and do it. And don't think that it's a burden. If you solve those things, 80% chance that the same thing will repeat in the exam. 80% I'm not able to say that 100% repeat. Why I'm saying confidently 80% means more or less both prepare the question paper, which have the question papers are what you call the templates which I am giving to you. It is consists of previous question papers. If you solve those things, 100% sure that at least 80% the question will be from that particular thing. Okay, at least forget about the 80%. At least come to know what kind of questions that can ask in the exam. That's it. Okay. So based on these things, we have if you want to assess the customers. Okay. So whether to extend credit to the customers or not, we have three different approaches: ad hoc approach, simple disciplined approach, and multiple disciplined approach. Ad hoc approach, we are going to prepare on our own. Simple disciplined approach, basically we will be using only one factor that equated sales, and based on that we are going to categorize the customers into good customers and bad customers. Whereas in case of multiple discriminative analysis, what we do? We will take a multiple factors, and based on multiple factors, we will be calculating, and we will end up in finding out the Z score. Okay, if Z score is more than 2.7, we'll assume that if the Z score is more than 2.7, so that customer is good, otherwise that customer is bad. Okay, this is how we are going to evaluate. So then credit granting decision. So I think I have to start from here. So credit granting decision, basically we have two things. Whenever we take a call of credit, we have only two things: whether to grant or not to grant. Correct? First decision. If somebody asks you, so if somebody comes to your shop and asks you, "Sir, I want something on credit," what is the first decision? Whether to give or not to give. Correct? The credit decision is whether to extend credit or not to extend. If you don't have, if you have decided not to extend credit, so finish. Nothing to worry. The chapter is closed. If you decide not to give the assignment, finish. If you decide to write the assignment, then the things will come. Okay. So now, if you decide to grant a credit, then payment decision, payment not decision. That is, you have decided to extend the credit to a customer. Now, the customer, while taking the goods on credit, he will say everything, whatever conditions you put, so he says yes for everything. Correct? He say yes for everything. But once he takes the this one what you call the goods from you, then he starts paying his card. Correct? So whatever problems he has got, everything will occur only at a particular point of time. Correct? So I have seen when you want to collect the hostel fees or college fees and all those things, no, only during that particular point of time they'll come to know. So they have some problem. Till that time they'll never come across this problem. Just on that side which I'm saying. Okay. So in the same way, so a payment received or payment not received. Okay. So here there is possibility that either you may receive the payment or you may not receive the payment. So benefit is present value, future and cash flow. That is, if we receive the amount, we have to convert this benefit whatever we receive into present value. Suppose if I don't receive present value loss of investment. Say for example, 100 rupees, 100. So we have sold goods to some around 1,000 customers. Out of 1,000 customers, 20% customers may not pay. Let's assume that. So these 20 customers will come here, and 80% will come here. Okay. 80% receive and 20% will not be received. Okay. So then net cash flow will calculate here, net payoff. So that is benefit minus cost. Benefit here, cost here. If it benefit minus cost will take out. If it is positive, then we can extend. If it is negative, then we have to reject it. So whenever we after doing all analysis, everything, even though after doing all the things, if we extend a credit to a customer, all possibility that there may be some customers who may not pay. So that you cannot forget that you cannot come to the conclusion that 100% people pay. Always there will be one or two people because of one or two reasons they may not pay. Okay. This is how we decide the credit decision. So we can work out problems on this also. Okay. Now credit terms. Very important is credit term. What exactly is credit term stands for? So credit terms is basically stipulation under which the firm sells on credit to customers are called credit terms. That is the conditions under which the firm is going to sell the goods to a customer on credit is called as a credit term. So what is the condition? For example, so let me take one example here. About this term. Chaitra madam is also mentioned about it. For example, let me take here net 30. What is that net 30? What is the net 30 stands for? What is the net stands for? This is not the net which we are going to put it for partition. So for to play volleyball, football, cricket, and also we put that net I am not using here. The net stands for period. Okay. The net is basically net 30 days, that is we are extending credit to a customer for a period of 30 days. So this is language, when you talk about this language, financial language, we say net 30. It means that we are extending credit to a customer for 30 days. Now, so I'll write like this: 2 by 10 net 30. 2 by 10. 2 by 10. What is it? Okay. Credit period, the length of the time for which credit is extended. Credit period means the length of the time for which credit is extended. So 30 days. This is the period for which we extend the credit to a customer. Now, cash discount comes to picture. Okay, is a reduction in payment offered to a customer to induce them to repay credit obligation within a specified period of time. What the bank will do? If you pay the repayment, if you make the repayment of loan, what we call sincerely or without any default anything, there will be a reduction for you in the interest rate by 1%. Why they say all those things? Just to motivate some people to make the payment honestly, sincerely, and so without any default. So same way, if you want, say for example, sometimes the bank will offer you, if you make all the loan amount as well as interest, whatever due is there, if you make clear all the dues by today, you will be eligible to get a subsidy of 25%. Why all this is why they do? Just to ensure that they won't get back the principal amount at least. Okay. So here, what this firm will do? Cash is reduction the payment offered to customer to induce them to repay credit obligation within a specified period of time. It means, so I am going to extend 2% of credit. I am going to extend it 2 by 10 stand for if you make the payment within 10 days. If you make the payment within 10 days, so you are eligible to get a 2% of credit. Okay. Or else you can use, if you don't want to take the credit, so you can use the amount for 30 days. Now the customer has to recalculate which is better for me. Whether should I pay amount within 10 days or should I use the amount for 30 days. So sometimes using credit also, using discount also may not beneficial. Okay, sometimes using cash is much more beneficial. So we should understand here. We should understand the gamut of all those things. Okay. So we get 2 by 10 net 30. So we can calculate problems on this. Okay. 2 by 10 net 30 stands for. So if a customer is going to make a payment within 10 days, he is eligible to get discount of how much? 2%. So otherwise, he can use the amount for 30 days. Suppose if I write 15 by 15 net 60. What it means?
If a customer pays the money within 15 days, he will get a discount.
Yeah. So here, if he is going to make a payment within 15 days, he is eligible to get a cash discount of 15%. Otherwise, he can use the amount for 60 days. Now, which is beneficial for him, he has to understand. Then he has to take a call whether to use the money for 60 days or should I repay within 15 days. Okay, this is about credit term. That is, credit term is basically condition under which the goods has been sold to a customer. The conditions under which the goods has been sold to a customer, we call that as a credit terms. Okay. Credit evaluation of customers, this is important thing. So credit evaluation. So cannot extend a credit to a customer without making a evaluation. Without understanding the customer properly, you cannot extend the credit to a customer. If you extend a credit without understanding him, what happens?
You may default.
So you will become a defaulter, or you may become willingly defaulter, or the condition may make him to become a defaulter. Both the cases may happen. Okay. Sometimes, so willingly in the sense that he has the money, but he doesn't want to pay, like our Malya. He has the money. It is not like Malya can't repay the amount what the due he has got. He is enjoying in UK like anything. I don't know how many of you observe his tweets and all those things. Okay. So the way he puts the photographs and all those things, he enjoys it. He is settled in London. Most of the relatives are in London. Now he is happy in London. And now Indian government, what they are doing? They are putting the pressure on the UK government so to send him out of the UK. So for that there is a case going on in the UK courts also. He wants to stay there, and so we want to send him back. So this is what basically billing is also very important. For that, what we should do, we should make some evaluation. The first is credit information. So credit information, how exactly the finance status of an individual. Credit basically information. The finance statement, bank reference and trade reference. These three things will talk about the credit information about an individual. So first and foremost, bank statement. Okay, the financial statement. First, let me talk about financial statement. So whatever business is carrying on already, we'll assess this by seeing his balance sheets and all those things. We'll assess. So what is business all about? So is a seasonal based business? Whether it's a every year, entire year he will have business, okay? Or if he has business, what is the liquid portion of his business? So do this firm has a ability to make the repayment and all these things can assess based on the help of the